it was more about trying to just get up there and swim hard because I knew I needed to keep swimming hard and fast. And so when I got second, clearly I was disappointed I got second, but I wasn't necessarily expecting to win because every guy there was shaved and tapered. This was the one meet they were focused on. Well, would have been freshman year. I don't know if I was senior. I don't think I was making seniors that time, but juniors would have been shortly thereafter. So that would have been my focus, would have been 200 IM, 400 IM, 200 fly, 200 back maybe. So I was content, I should say, because like I said, I wasn't if I had shaved and tapered and I lost, I would have been upset. But because I went in there just saying, you know what, I'm gonna go in there and do my best. And there was already a lot of guys at that point. I think Nick Dude had won the year before. You know, he was in the field again. You kind of expected him to necessarily probably be right there too. So, yeah.
Did you ever at any point think back on that decision and think, man, maybe just a week so I could have got all four? Maybe just 3 days, maybe a clip?
No.
Never regretted it.
No,
Good.
Because the one thing I try not to do is live with regrets, right? Because the decision you make at the time is the only one, you know, you use all available information. That was never the focus. It was always going to be, you know, another meet to just get the experience. And because if UD were to ever tell me that they changed their policies, they didn't want me competing and not practicing with them, then it would have been a very decision that I move on from high school swimming altogether. You know, it would have been unfortunate for both me and them, but at the same time, again, the aim was just a little bit different. I think there was a handful of people around that age that really had the same focus, but for the most part, high school states really was ingrained in so many schools and mindsets. But I didn't think about it till right now, so no.
No, I hopefully I don't lose any sleep about this, for sure.
No.
And for anybody that may have just heard Randy talking about that 500 and wondered what happened, he won the consolation and he went 441 as an unshaved freshman.
Okay.
In 1997.
Yep.
That's pretty ridiculous. So your sophomore year, you come back and you start that winning streak. And, you know, like you said, you never, you know, that wasn't your priority at any point during your high school career. But obviously you got to a point where you were able to start winning regardless of the scenarios. You know, I'm curious what that meant to you, because it wasn't your priority and because there was always another meet after. Was winning your first state championship a big deal to you, or was it just kind of like back to practice on Monday?
Back to practice on Monday. My sophomore year, I expected to win. I mean, the expectation was definitely different going into sophomore year. I expected to win the 200 IM and every year thereafter. I wasn't planning on losing. I mean, I think is every person you've ever talked to as a competitor, losing is far worse than winning is better, right? The losing is worse always. You know, you don't want that feeling. So, yeah, I went in there expecting to win the 200 IM. I think I ended up third in the 500 free. I know I made the switch junior year to do the 100 fly for the relays, because I think junior year we started to have the 400 free relay and it was just an easier double. Instead of doing 200 IM 500, 200 IM 100 fly was an easier double. I think I started doing that junior year. Yeah, I know Jeff won 500 free. I'm almost positive.
I think you got that all right. I'm looking at it right now. So Jeff was 430. Cubberly was like 435, and I think you were about 438.
Okay.
And then as far as the IM, and the IM was a close race, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Benor was right on your heels, but you handled it.
Yeah, he was actually another teammate at Ole, same thing. So, I mean, like I said, the depth at Ole was just incredible. And, you know, Christian Vanderkay was there. Obviously, he was right behind me, I think, senior year and stuff like that. So, but you know, even though unshaved, untapered, I just felt like I should be able to win that race. And so don't get me wrong, it wasn't.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. It wasn't like I wasn't happy about it, but it wasn't, again, the main focus. It was trying to win a juniors, make seniors, you know, make teams, stuff like that, you know.
That's great. So Tell me about what's going on nationally. Tell me about what's going on in these, these bigger meets your freshman and sophomore years.
I think it starts with, I think I might have been 14. It was the one meet sticks out. It was a really, really good meet. It was Miami of Ohio. It was juniors, and I was trying to make my senior cuts. It was a weird year in the sense that seniors fell before juniors because they were doing team selections. And then at the end of that calendar year, they changed the times for seniors because I went in, I remember going in that meet, I think it was 14. Cooper was there, it was Cooper, me, my dad. And I looked at my dad and I said, hey, if I get my senior cut, will you buy me a jet ski? And he looks at Jeff and Jeff's like, and he goes, done. I swim out of my mind, right? Miami of Ohio is still one of my favorite pools, period, and probably because of that meet, right? I get my senior cut. Well, that December 31st, they change, and I technically I won't qualify for the next seniors that spring, right? So my dad backs out of the bet and says, well, you can't go to the senior meet, so you don't get the jet ski. So I'm still holding to this day that he still owes me a jet ski. He's unpaid the bet. But, I never won. It wasn't until I think senior year, we ended up going back to juniors as a team for a lead-in as opposed to going to senior nationals. I think for some reason we made a decision. I think it was senior year. So I ended up winning, I think, juniors that year. Only won juniors as the men's team, which was a really great thing. I mean, we had a lot of good guys that were there. Everyone contributed. We had really fast relays. But individually, I never won juniors in the 13, 14 range. But again, it was exposing me to the guys that were there already winning. And then the next level was, again, senior nationals. So I never had the national success that I really wanted to. Unfortunately, I was able to do it a lot in season. I was able to race Malchow really well. I was able to race Michael, at the Grand Prix meets, stuff like that. But when it came down to the big meets, unfortunately, I just never got it done. I mean, I still remember going back to 2000 trials. The whole lead up of events was just probably the worst things that could have happened. It was Michigan Grand Prix, Sunday night, and clearly Tom Malchow is the class of the 200 fly. We know that in the country. But I was geared up to race him. I was confident that I was going to be right there. And the starter held the blocks for forever. And I ended up moving. They pulled us up. I fell in and they DQ'd me. And I was begging. I'm like, please let me just race him. I don't care if you disqualify me. Just let me race this guy. I need to race that guy in that race because it's going to set the stage for my trials. They said no. And so then going into trials, I mean, I'm stuck on the blocks in the 200 IM. I don't even get off the blocks because all I'm thinking about is I just fall started my last race leading Olympic trials and never got off in the mornings. And I remember doing pacing in the warm-up pool underneath, the stands or in the back side. And we were prepping for the 4 IM and Cooper's like, okay, let's do some pacing. And he's like, how hard are you trying? It was in the evening. I'm like, I'm not trying at all. So, I mean, I was absolutely primed and ready to go.
Because of the Mull family and their legend in that state, and the fact that Ian, I think, was third in the 200 IM at the 96 Olympic trials. I mean, everybody knew Ian Mull, and so I'm sure that this was a record, whether you were going to shave and taper for it or not, you wanted to put in the back pocket. Was that on your mind your senior year in that race?
It was, yeah. I definitely really want to focus on that record. Really my specialty. I always say I had easy speed for the 200 fly, but to get out and forced speed to be fast enough to go 48.8 was never quite there for me. And it wasn't necessarily a focus we were going to divert long-term focus in terms of training on. But yeah, I mean, Ian's record was definitely the focus there. And then the thing is, I will say with state, it definitely changed between junior year when we started at UD. So Michael Porth was there. We got a relay junior year. And then senior year, we were gunning our best to try to win states. I didn't think we quite had the depth, but we were going to make a lot of noise. So, I mean, I think I don't know what place I ended up getting because it was just me freshman year, but it was like upper teens, maybe closer to 20. And then we dropped down to, I'm not sure which place. Then I know it was seventh and then fourth. You know, by my senior year, we had some really good guys on the team. We had two relays that got third both times. So the focus, while at the same time was trying to break Ian's record, was also more about making sure that the team performed its best so that we could really put us on the map. Because UD hadn't had that team-wide success. You know, I was able to have it individually and stuff like that, but I wanted everyone else to be able to feel it. And the guys that we had there with me was Garrett Pasiak, Matt Dorsch, you know, Michael Porth. The four of us were on the two relays together, and we were able to do really, really good things.
How much, you know, personal reward did you take from that? I mean, just to kind of compare some stories that I've heard recently. You know, I recently talked to Jack Walsh, who went to Detroit Catholic Central and then eventually Stanford in the last like 5 to 10 years between those two. And, you know, that was one thing that he talked to me about, was that there was an arrival of their swim team at the end of his career, and people kind of scratched their heads and wondered, why are you going there when he chose to go there? And when he left there, they were really good. And then since he's left, they've gone on and really gotten good. And he was able to kind of look back and think, I'm a big part of that. I mean, I'm not, there were good swimmers at UAD before you, and I'm sure after you, but as you said, there were no relays, there were no other Class A state qualifiers at the time you went. You know, I'm not going to say that all those kids decided to go to UAD because you were there. You validated that program, at least who you were going to get to race with a little bit. Was there some personal, you know, reward there to be able to see that program arrive into the state's top 5 at the end of your career?
Absolutely. You know, you definitely, if you go to a program like that and you want to be able to bring them forward, obviously that validation is always appreciated. Sorry, my dog just came in.
Sorry.
That's allowed. At some point, one of my children will probably run in as well. So that's absolutely allowed.
No problem. No, but it was, you know, because essentially they were allowing me to do my thing, and at the same time, I needed to be a team player enough to make sure that everyone else felt that I was there to help benefit them. Obviously, it was a mutually beneficial relationship, right? And so obviously, you know, by the time senior year rolled around, it was really the focus to make sure that the team felt prepared. You know, we went into, I think, Catholic leagues, you know, junior and senior year getting second right behind Brother Rice, and usually we'd finish third or fourth, whether it was by Catholic Central or another, you know, whoever else. But so we were really transformed that program. It kind of took a step back after I left. The coach, when I came, or after I left, decided to undo anyone who wanted to swim in the program had to train there. You know, for better or for worse, the decision wasn't made without, you know, I wasn't there. I can't know why the decision was made the way it was. But I thought it was unfortunate because we had set a precedent of, okay, you could come here and still have different goals, but also still swim well together. And, but I can see where it causes some ripples. I mean, I remember it was senior year, and it was a dual meet against Brother Rice. Well, I left school, went and ripped out his 7,500-yard workout, came back down to Ferndale to go swim the dual meet. And this is just when like M Live started getting big and people posting, and someone pointed me to it. I wish I never would have found it because it was the worst thing ever going down that rabbit hole. But people started just ripping me for, oh, he showed up late and just strolls in and didn't warm up. And it was like, you have no idea what I just did. I just did 7,500-yard workout, just crushed.
I'm warm.
I'm
right.
way warm. I'm really warm, you know. If anything, I need a nap. But and so, you know, I get why the decision might have been made, but I caused a lot of ripples in Michigan swimming, and for better or for worse, because I think some people were better for it in the long run, being able to train with their club teams, but at the same time to disrupt what had been a very traditional setup where you swim for your team, you train with your team. It you know, because almost everybody who swam high school states and really was a player all swam year round elsewhere. So it wasn't like you weren't getting any work in. It wasn't like you were just showing up, but it was just a little bit different.
Yeah. You know, and I'm curious your personality type, and just in talking to you for a short time, I think I know the answer to this, but were you somebody who reveled in the waves that you were creating, or was that really kind of like, man, I wish this wasn't going on?
I don't regret my decisions for me personally. I wish less people were offended by my decisions, if that makes sense, right? Because for the best decision for me is not necessarily the best decision for the next guy, but I just wish some people would have not minded as much and just let me do my thing, you know? But I think it was bothersome to them that I was able to get my way, still win, and not have to conform to exactly how they used to do it. I think it was senior year, and I found out from a classmate who wasn't swimming, he was in the stands, but post 100 fly race, one of the other swimmers who lost to me like stood over me and was like leering at me like I did something to offend them. And I never even knew who the kid was. And my buddy came down on deck looking for him, and I'm like, what are you doing down here? And he's like, this guy was looking at you and this and that. And I was like, what? So it was very strange from a program that I had no interaction with on like the dual meet circuit. It was someone Middle Michigan, but just came over and had an issue with me. And it was very, very strange. One, to expect to beat me, but two, to have an issue with what I was doing and why you'd be upset. I didn't understand it whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah, it was bizarre. So I know I did ruffle some feathers, and I heard about it on M Live, but like I said, for me, the decisions were really, really crystal clear of what I was trying to do and how I was going to be able to get there.